Welcome back to the next episode of my new Kerbol Space Program playthrough, and I just got the holy grail of Kerbol Space Program, the Terrier engine. Everybody loves the Terrier. It is absolutely excellent, and just from this very simple craft, I already have more Delta V than my entire other than all of my other rockets combined. It's just wonderful, this little tiny thing. So, let's set my Delta V back to sea level. And the first thing that I am going to do is add a detacher to the bottom of this little guy. And I'm going to I actually want this to be a bit taller. I'm going to just put a tiny little bit more fuel on this little guy. And I also would like to add some landing legs to it, as to not smash the engine off when landing on Minmus. So I want to probably lower these guys down using the move tool. Probably not something that your basic average Kerbal Space Program player would be doing at the start of the game, but this is a speed playthrough that I'm trying to do and get to the late game as fast as possible, because that's actually the fun part. So here I am. I'm going to take 1, 2, 3 of these. And have I maxed out my weight limits yet? No, I have not. And I am going to attach a Reliant engine. No, probably a swivel, because Reliant is better. And some boosters. 2 boosters, probably? It already is having enough more than enough Delta V for a basic mission. And for your basic orbit mission, and 2 boosters, decouplers. Oh, I don't have side decouplers yet. So much for the boosters. I can attach these onto here, and I can check the Delta V by putting it at altitude vacuum at 4,664 meters per second. I believe that just with a teensy bit more fuel in this last stage, I'll be able to pull off a full Delta V. Not to go to Minmus yet. We probably have to upgrade make a bit of cash and upgrade the launch pad first. But definitely go to do a mun flyby, which will be useful. The one problem is with the career mode is that you have to upgrade your launch pad in order to launch an actually decently sized rocket. So let's just check and make sure the thrust to weight ratios are high enough. Yep. Let's take science. Let's check how much money I have. Okay, that's nice. Actually, since I can't EVA yet, I'll probably want to test this, or I'll actually have to bring more science equipment because of that. So let's bring 2 thermometers and 2 goo canisters. And let's bring and let's take that other one that isn't correctly attached off. And that is our simple orbital rocket right there. That actually uses real rocket engines that are actually good, like the Terrier. So we're ready for liftoff and moving it up to the launch pad. Okay. Speaking of low-tech missions, I've been always thinking, in science mode, where can you go on your very first launch? I'm like, I know there's a way, probably some way to get to Minmus, or maybe and back, or maybe even Duna and back, using just fleas and other parts that you're given at the very start of the game. So you could maybe even beat the game without even, or go to every single planet using just fleas and beginning of the game parts. So besides that, let's just get right into this mission, and we're blasting off and getting some altitude. I don't like waiting through liftoff, so I'm just gonna speed it up a bit. Time for a gravity turn a bit. It's very dangerous. Something that I have noticed is that it is incredibly dangerous to do a gravity turn before you've unlocked the proto-grade, before you've unlocked a pilot that has proto-grade in their things that they can, in their maneuvers that they can do. So our current apoapse is at 13, 14 kilometers. We'll just keep going. Oh wait, I was at 2 kilometers when I thought it was at 20 kilometers. No, I'm not at I'm at 14, 15 kilometers, just getting higher. And I'm just gonna burn the rest of this rocket off, just trying to get a bit of speed here. Now, I don't need that anymore. And I'm at 42 kilometers, so I want to go at roughly 45 degrees angle. And I want to fire this thruster, and bam. First thing I do is kick on the physical time warp, because I don't feel like waiting through such a long burn. And it's raising up. We have 60,000 meters, 70, almost 70. So close. That's safe. 75 kilometers. Now I want to equalize just around that marker, just across the equator there. And bam. Something else that I've noticed with Kerbal Space Program is that after the fly-by-wire was implemented, the idea of having a better probe that could actually do all of that special maneuvering was kind of trashed, because you could just hook a worse probe up with a fly-by-wire and it would still work. So it was so basically you could have something that was only 50% the weight of the big gold probe that actually has all of the SAS commands, that actually that also has all of the SAS commands. But one of the things about the bigger probes is that they also have bigger batteries and bigger scanning ranges and bigger internal transmitters. So that is one of the benefits of having larger probes, and it does decrease your part count to have a larger probe than a bunch of accessories on a smaller probe, which are one of the few reasons why you would actually want a large probe instead of using the small ones. So here we are, just getting into orbit. We're going to complete a contract. And this is going to be the start of the Kerbal Space Age, with the first Kerbal in orbit around Kerbin. Success. This periaps is at 68,000 meters, meaning that I'll probably want to bring it up a bit. It is still at 68,000 meters, and I'm still in the atmosphere, so let's just hope that I get out of the atmosphere in a few up out of the atmosphere now, so that I can actually time warp. Like real time warp. Okay, now safely in orbit, and I am going to circularize my periaps. Still not enough delta V to get to the moon. And just go... Oh, I'm pointing retrograde. That's terrible. I need to be pointing prograde. So let's get on the prograde marker and burn into a low Kerbin orbit until that happens, and that means that I am safely in orbit. And I've set some world records and gotten a ton of cash. Just working towards those upgrades. And I have, let's just check my stats here, and I currently have 375,000 Kerbol, Kerbils. That's a nice name for them. Kerbils. Okay, so let's observe mystery goo. I want to observe it in the atmosphere as well, or like in the high atmosphere, because I haven't done that yet. So I've done both of those, and I want to do my crew report out here in the depths of space where it's worth the most. No, I don't want to do it there. Okay. Now, the instant we're in orbit, we come back out of orbit, because that's all we were up here to do. We're not doing anything fancy or schmancy up here. So, bam. And suborbital. Okay, we're safely in the atmosphere. More like unsafely in the atmosphere. Just want to point retro, and I want to kill my velocity. Ooh, we're currently going to fly into a desert, which if I kill my velocity enough, I might actually land in. This is one of the rarer biomes on Kerbin, and if I get near that mountain, I probably will be able to get another biome, or get science from another biome, which will be valuable. What? Upper atmosphere. Okay, that's an upper atmosphere one. And that is upper atmosphere. Now let's just burn. Definitely want to face the direction that I'm not going, so that I do not burn up in a terrible, terrible way of death. And the first thing that I want to do is start spinning like crazy as to not burn off any science experiments, because the thing about spinning is that spinning reduces the total heating across the surface. But the reason for that is this was discovered during the Apollo missions, when they were trying to stop the modules from overheating due to solar heating. And what they did is they had them spin so that the heat would be distributed more evenly and no one fuel tank would heat up too much. It was an amazing idea, and I am utilizing the same science right now to distribute the the uneven heat better across the surface of my capsule, as to not burn up into ashes that rain down into the ocean. And just like that, we are safely back in the atmosphere at a non-lethal speed. And descending downwards at an also non-lethal speed. Now is when I want to detach this. And that is going to almost triple my drag due to how KSP's drag engine works, and this should cushion my fall until I can put my parachute in gear. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Now that was incredibly risky. That may have been the most risky landing I've ever done. I'm just barely over the surface, and I pulled that parachute, and that was incredibly close. So, now that I have... Oh, I'm going to get the thing. We've successfully returned from orbit. And let's check what is my balance right now. I am not too reputable, but I have a fair bit of money. So nothing bad about that. So now let's recover vessel. That would be up here. And let's go. We have successfully returned from orbit, and we have actually discovered real technology, aka the Terrier engine. Well, my next shot will obviously be the moon, and so the next thing that I'll probably get is basic science, because that has new experiments. I have how much more money? 51,000 credits to upgrade that. How much more to upgrade this? I can upgrade. Okay, now I can have 140 tons. And I can make it so that I don't have a part limit anymore. I think it's worth the 255,000. So let's go right into here and let's get some missions, because I need cash. So what is this? I need to fly by the mun and gather scientific data from the mun. Except the nice thing about the Kerbol Record Keeping Society, or the Kerbol World Record Keeping Society, is that they give you missions that nobody knows about yet. If you after you go to the mun, that's when you usually get mun contracts. After you go to Duna, that's when you get Duna contracts. But the nice thing about them is that they give you contracts long before you actually. Long before you've actually done that thing. So you can actually make money while doing it for the very first time, which is quite nice. So now that I'm here, I can actually do something a bit better, and I can put these two things on here, and I can put these two things on here, and I can replace this with one of these, meaning that I can collect science without getting my Kerbol out, which I have not unlocked yet. So let's go and check this thing out. I feel that this stage is pretty decent. This stage is pretty decent. It has a vacuum. 4,600 meters per second. I still haven't unlocked the other type of decouplers, but I am a person who likes to improvise. So my idea is to take one and put a 2 times symmetry right here, and put these here. Do I have anything aerodynamical to put on those? Absolutely no. So it's going to be horribly inefficient, but it's going to be better than no boosters at all. So let's just shift this ever so slightly off. It does look hideous, I agree, but it's better than than otherwise. So now let's lift these up ever so slightly. And my idea now is to do an Ariane 5 style launch, where the main engine doesn't have enough thrust to get off the ground, and it just gets a big kick from the initial kick from the boosters to get its main speed. So I've got everything set up, and I should successfully be able to go to the moon, or to the mun. Time to go to the mun, I guess. Okay, so we are currently in the space plane, or not the space plane hangar. We're going to the launch pad. Just checked to make sure that I was recording my video, because that would be tremendously terrible if I wasn't. So I'm just lifting off, or I'm ready to lift off, or I haven't lifted off yet. Well, here we are at the launch pad. And it is time for a liftoff. Let's turn on SAS and let's blast off from the surface of Kerbol. And we are going to just run the engine on low right now, just for its gimbaling effect, because these boosters are taking us up right now. The only reasoning that I have the engines on right now is the fact that it helps me with the steering issues that are caused by solid rocket boosters. Mostly the fact that they're unable to do such things. Now, I want to detach that. Oh no, oh no. Those things just ripped the bottom clean off my rocket. So, let's revise my plan. And I also actually want to remove the fins, because something that the fins are doing is that they're kind of locking my trajectory on my heading. So the first thing that I want to do is probably move these away from the main rocket. Although it does look hideous and glitchy, it's something that I have to do for the sake of science. And there we go. It's absolutely horrendous, but it works. And it is time for liftoff. We are going to go to the surface of the mun. Or not to at least orbit the mun. If we have enough delta V, go to the surface of the mun. But we're going to at least orbit the mun so that we can get all the money from exploring it. Okay. And we are ready to go. SAS enabled, and reducing throttle and liftoff. We are currently cruising upwards, and we have cleared the tower and descending. Okay, we're coming back up. And we're about to detach our boosters, and I want to see if we survive it this time. So let's throw them off in 3, 2, 1, now. Oh, I successfully cleared the boosters and they crashed into themselves. So no terrible space collision today. Okay, now I have cleared, or I've burned, stage has burned enough fuel to the point where it has a TWR higher than 1. And now it is accelerating upwards at decent rate, and that is our gravity turn right there. It's ever so slightly just tipping along with the gravity, and we are ascending. Even if this stage does have 1,100 meters per second in delta V, but if it doesn't have enough to get us all the way into orbit, we have plenty of delta V in the second stage, which is the one with the Terrier. 3,100. That's a lot of delta V for just this simple little mission. So let's start tipping, because we want to start picking up sideways velocity as well as vertical velocity. And blazam, blazam, blazam. Now just with the power of the onboard reaction wheels, I'm just slowly tipping it over, and I'm putting it directly on the cross between the directly east and parallel with the horizon. And I am blasting forwards very quickly. And there we are at a speed of roughly 1,000 meters per second. That engine is going to cut out, and I'm going to fire up the second stage, which is going to carry us all the rest of the way into orbit. With 1,100 meters per second and climbing. Just want to tip up ever so slightly as to reduce the speed of the descent back into the atmosphere. Yep, we're definitely descending back into the atmosphere at an alarming rate. Now, I'm just hoping that we can generate enough centrifugal force by moving forward that it counteracts the fact that we're slowly dipping down into the atmosphere. And I've passed, I'm currently at orbital speed, so I should be able to, there it is, an apoapse above 70 kilometers, so I should be able to cruise up to there and safely do all of the rest of my orbital maneuvering to the moon, or the mun. I keep saying it wrong. Okay, 90 degrees. Something that I've noticed about Kerbol, about space, is that it likes 45-degree angles. So 90 degrees, 45 degrees. So I have to tip to face roughly 45 degrees, and that is where I want to burn from. However, first, I'll probably want to burn at my apoapse so that I don't dip back into the atmosphere ever again. Until I actually want to, at least. Now let's ascend into a LKO. LKO reached. Okay, that's 90 degrees, 45 degrees. Bam! I have precisely the location that I have to be at to burn towards the moon. However, I'll still make a quick save before I go to the moon. So let's just quickly stop that warp and go to save as quick save, and let's face forwards. towards prograde. And let's blast into space, or towards the moon. Yep, we're definitely speeding up here. And we are approaching the moon, or the mun. There we are, and our apoapsis is rising and rising and rising right there. Come on, come on, come on. This is driving me crazy. Well, I should at least put the... Oh, wait, I can't... Since the conics are patched, I haven't unlocked unpatched conics yet. So I can't set the moon even as a target. So I just have to hope I get a rendezvous. Well, let's warp and let's track the moon in its path, and let's see if we think that we're going to miss the moon or if the moon is going to miss us. Okay, from what I'm seeing, I feel like the moon is we're going to be far behind the moon. So I feel like now is a good time to burn it radial in order to adjust my approach. And I should start seeing something in the moon's massive gravity well. Or the mun. I keep saying it wrong. Nothing? Still nothing? Yeesh, the moon is really picky about how you rendezvous with it. Now, I feel like I should kind of maybe bring the parapsis a bit down. I really should be budgeting my delta V a lot more, because I'm only have less than 200 meters per second left right now. So I'm very closely approaching the moon, but I feel like I'm going to lose speed, and I'm going to get flung up. Oh! The darnest thing about patched conics is that they don't tell you where encounters and stuff are. So the first thing I want to do is actually want to get a gravitational deceleration assist off of the moon. Meaning that I want to burn radial in. I just have to find my radial in marker. Oh, I didn't realize, but Jebediah got his next level after he went to orbit. Got his next skill, which is the prograde and retrograde. Currently, I'm just on a plain collision course with the moon, which is not the nicest thing to have happen to you. So I've actually have a periapse now, and darn it, I've run out of fuel. So I just want to see my course. Okay, that puts me on a really big orbit of Kerbol, so I can't get home. Now this is when I load save and load quick save. And that is why I made the quick save, because I don't have unpatched conics unlocked, so I cannot control, or I cannot see where where I'm going to pop into the moon's sphere of influence and when I'm going to pop out of it. So now that I'm in the correct position by the correct continents, and I want to actually wait a tiny bit because from my trial and error, I've determined that I was shooting too close to the moon's current position. So now I'm just going to burn prograde for a bit until I actually reach the moon. And now we just have to wait and see if and just make a bunch of approximations and see if I actually make it. Ah, my darn headphones. Okay, we are approaching the moon. So far it's working. And faster and faster and faster, and hopefully being a bit less wasteful in terms of delta V usage and being a bit more efficient. Now we're approaching the moon. So now I just have to wait and see exactly how I approach the moon. This time I won't be picky since I have 500 meters per second about my approach, as long as it isn't a collision course, because I have 500 meters per second in delta V to deal with. Just checking my electric charge to make sure I'm not running low on battery power since I haven't gotten the solar panel yet. So the moon has to catch up with me really fast and quickly. Or I think I'm going to pop into its sphere of influence about now. And that is a assist. And that is a, that 30,000 meters? Okay. I feel like now I should do something high in space above the moon. Like observe mystery goo once and get some temperature data, and from that, and then then I want to crew report so that I can get that, and then I want to collect all that science data. Now let's hope that we get an accurate approach, since I don't have proper conics unlocked yet. Okay, we're passing the moon very, very, very close. So it's time for us to run all the real science. And 75 science. Wow, that's a lot for where I am in the game. Observe mystery goo. And log temperature. And crew report. Now I want to collect all data. Now because I don't have any orbital data right now, I just want to see where I pop out and hope that I have enough delta V to adjust my orbital. And that is called a nightmare of an orbit, but it's still savable, mostly because I got chucked so far out into space that only using a tiny amount of delta V I can reduce my periaps to the point where I can actually slow down. So here I am at my apoaps, and I'm going to activate retrograde hold, and let's slow down a bit, because I want to crash into Kerbol. Most pros would be using a moon gravity assist, but I say, why not? I have the margins to do it this way. So what is the reasoning exactly for, why exactly would I want to just let a few gallons of extra fuel burn up in the atmosphere? Okay, I've gotten my periaps under 30, so I feel like that would be safe. Just in case, I'm going to save my game and overwrite. And I'm going to cruise until I hit Kerbin. Okay, here I am in the danger zone of space travel. Now I want to slow down as much as I possibly can using this extra fuel. Okay. I forgot to check my staging. And it's a race against time before something blows up, and I saved myself. And I have all of my data safely in there, and that other thing gets shredded up in space, and I safely cruise down to a low altitude. Currently, I'm moving at a hypersonic speed, and I'm trying to slow down as much as I possibly can, because I'm just dipped down from Minmus's orbit. And I am getting slower and slower and slower and slower until I can safely deploy my parachutes. And I'm actually at a safe altitude compared to my speed. 20 kilometers, 1,000 meters per second. That's actually pretty good. Now, the next thing that I want to do is see how high I am. And nothing really changes when I switch the mode that I'm viewing my altitude by, which means that it is probably that I'm probably landing in water. So let's cruise 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, jettison, deploy para, and that is what I call a risky landing, when you deploy your parachutes and your heat shield just before you touch the ground, just only 300, 200, or 400 meters above the surface of the ocean, and I'm descending down. Whoa, 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 whoa. And continually descending and playing around with my camera because I'm bored from the incredibly long descent. And here we are on the surface of the ocean again. That's 80,000 and more like a total of similar to 80,000. And now let's recover this vessel and let's see our science count. With a high enough science count, I think that next episode we might even make it to Minmus and even make it to Duna, and that is when all the real science starts getting put together. And maybe even make it all the way out to Joule and Lathe and all of the actually interesting places. And now I have successfully returned from the moon. And that's a ton of rewards. So let's see how much cash I have. I have enough cash to upgrade this place, and I can get real good stuff here now. Yeah, it's worth it. Definitely worth it, because I can actually EVA and get, surface samples. And since I have all of this stuff, the very first thing I want to do, electrics. It just has to be electrics all of the time. And I want to get fuel systems. And I want to get general construction. And that's all that I can afford. Wait, I can't even afford something 18 science. So I think that's going to be the end of today's episode. And bye.